A very good afternoon to all the guests and dignitaries. With great joy and immense excitation, I feel privileged to extend my warm welcome to all of you for today's webinar on Future of Waste Management Turning Waste into Energy, organized by digisaksham. I, Kanika Garg, welcome you all on behalf of digisaksham. Before I proceed, let me take a brief moment for the introduction of my organization. digisaksham is an initiative of SEMS Group which has developed content for over 300 courses in multiple languages, which range from 4 hours to 6 months in various sectors of IT, BFSI, retail, entrepreneurship for all the age group from school children, youth, professional, and even the senior citizens. digisaksham has also conducted more than 150 webinars, 10 plus FDPs and workshops, 7 international conferences. digisaksham impacted more than 15,000 plus lives through various webinars, conferences, workshops, seminars across the globe. The topic for today's webinar is Future of Waste Management Turning Waste into Energy, which is presented by Dr. Meenal Jain, ma'am. Future of waste management is one of the world's biggest challenge at that moment. To sum up waste management, future includes turning waste into energy, enabled practices, improvement in monitoring system, data collection, and much more technology-based advancement. Now, I profusely elated to take an opportunity to introduce our chief guest of the day. Meenal Jain, ma'am, is an assistant professor at the Department of Resource Management and Design Application, Lady Irving College, University of Delhi. Her area of specialization is environmental management and sustainable development. She is skilled in program evaluation, environmental awareness, and academic writing. She is gold medalist in PhD from University of Delhi. She has more than a decade of rich experience in teaching, training, and research. She has written for various national and international journals, books, magazines in the areas of renewable resource energy, environment management, and green building. One of her research papers selected among the top 20 sponsored research paper globally in the Ajman 4th International Environment Conference. The world is full of diamond and gem we are having here today to build this event. With this note, I would like to give my heartiest welcome to our chief guest, Meenal Jain ma'am, with a big round of applause.
Thank you so much, Kanika, for such a wonderful introduction. And I congratulate digisaksham for, successfully organizing so many webinars and, touching so many lives. So I congratulate all the organizers and I welcome all the participants. As Kanika said, I am Dr. Meenal Jain and I belong to Lady Oven College, University of Delhi. All right. So, as Kanika said, the topic of today's webinar is future of waste management and specifically turning waste into energy. Now we all know that waste has become such a menace in today's world, and it can be solid, it can be liquid, it can be gaseous waste, and each type of waste has different methods of disposal and management. And the aim of waste management is to basically reduce the dangerous effects of such waste on the environment and human health. So let me just begin with a brief introduction of what is waste. We all know what is waste, right? In our everyday lives, we generate so much of waste. And here I would like to strongly emphasize that, the act of wasting and the word waste, they are specifically human invention. If we look at our nature keeps on replenishing itself. So even if nature is generating any waste in terms of the biodegradable waste that it is generating, it has natural phenomena by which it keeps on replenishing itself. But specifically when we talk of waste, it is the act of human invention. We as humans have been contributing a lot to waste, and we consider waste to be such a material which is useless or which has no value, and we think of waste of as something which is just to be thrown away, right? And as part of our existence, we are generating a great deal of waste as byproducts of our everyday lifestyle. So there are various types of waste, like there is municipal waste, the waste that is, generated on a daily basis, the municipal solid waste. Then we have industrial waste. Now, we all know, as part of urbanization and industrialization, we are, seeing a lot of increase in the industries that are being set up, which includes manufacturing industries as well. And when industries are set up, they are definitely going to produce waste. Then we have hazardous waste, right? Like your biomedical waste. And now specifically, we have come across a different kind of waste, which is our PPE waste. After the pandemic hit us, this is a new type of waste which has come into picture. So hazardous waste includes majorly your biomedical waste and radioactive. Then construction and demolition waste. Now, we all know that construction is an inherent part of our development. And specifically, if we talk of developing countries, we are constructing at a rate like never before. And studies have actually shown that the number of buildings which will be there in 2030, only half of them are present today. So you can just imagine the kind and the amount of construction and demolition waste that we are going to generate. Mining waste, another very, very important category of waste. We do a lot of mining, whether it's coal mining or mineral mining. So whenever we engage in such activities, we are bound to generate a lot of waste. Then e-waste, and I think in 21st century, e-waste has really become a menace. We use so many smartphones, we use laptops, so our life is actually revolving around these gadgets, and more the gadgets that we are using, more electronic waste we are generating, and it's very, very difficult to manage such kinds of waste. Then packaging waste, our lifestyle has drastically changed, and we are spending so much on packaging. Just imagine a box delivered to you at your doorstep when you order something online. Have you ever thought of the layers of packaging it includes? It has so many layers of packaging, starting with the outermost plastic layer to the innermost cardboard box that the product is placed into. So much of packaging waste we are generating in today's day. Then agriculture waste, definitely. When we do agriculture, we indulge in agriculture activities, some kind of waste is bound to be generated. Medical waste, as I said, and the radioactive waste. So these are the different types of waste, and there are many more. Like we have plastic waste, we have metal, we have paper waste. So there are many, many immense types of waste that are generated on a daily basis, and these are a few of them that I've listed here. Now, if we look at the global waste scenario, World Bank has actually estimated that globally we are generating more than 2 billion tons of municipal solid waste every year. And if we look at the average waste generation per day of per person, per capita waste generation, if we look, it varies, between zero point 0.1 to anywhere between 4.5 kilograms. So there is a huge variation of, waste that we as a person, we are generating on a daily basis. And this variation is because, the development in different countries is at different levels. So people in developed world are generating more per capita waste per day than people in developing world. However, having said that, even in developing world, the amount of waste that we are generating, it is increasing steadily, right? And about 33% of the waste that we are generating is not managed in an environmentally safe manner. So you can just imagine the impact that this unmanaged waste is going to have on our environment. And we are not stopping here. World Bank has estimated that with rapid population which is growing, and rapid urbanization and industrialization which is happening, this waste generation is further going to increase by about 73% from 2020 levels. So 2020 may, whatever waste that we were generating, 73% of that added, and will reach to about 4 billion tons in the year 2050. So we are not stopping here, we are just increasing the waste that we are generating on a daily. And if we specifically talk of the low income or the developing countries, over 90% of this waste is openly burned. They are incinerated, they are disposed of in unregulated landfills or dumps. And all these practices are creating serious environment, because when the waste is poorly managed, it is a breeding ground for diseases. So many mosquitoes breed in these piles of waste, and disease vectors are present, which is also in a way contributing to global climate change, because when the waste is lying at a place over a period of time, because of its degeneration, it releases a lot of gases, which are in turn leading to climate. And even though I said that the developed countries are the ones which are producing more of this waste, but the impact is on the residents of the developing countries, because we are not able to deal with the impacts of this waste. Especially the poor, which are living in the urban areas, they are more severely impacted by unsustainably managed waste that we are generating. Thus, it is very essential that whatever waste that we are generating, it is properly managed, so that the cities that we are living in, and the cities that we are going to build, they are more sustainable, they are more livable, they are healthier for people who are occupying. So secondly, I would like to move on to what is waste management. So far I have tried to throw light on what is waste and how much waste we as a world are sort of generating on a daily basis and on an annual basis. Now we move on to how this waste can be managed. So waste management is nothing but all the activities which are required to manage the waste that we are generating, right from its inception to its disposal. So when we create some waste, we collect that waste, we transport, we treat it, we dispose it. All these steps together form the waste management act. Okay, and this includes the collection of waste, the transportation of waste, the treatment of waste, and the final disposal of waste. And you are also required to continuously monitor the waste management as per the rules and regulations, the legislation. For example, I'll give you one example, that in Delhi, in India, we are not supposed to openly burn the leaves. So that's something which is illegal to do in the capital city of India. So when you are managing waste, you also have to take care of these rules and regulations, so that you are not overstepping the legislation. So as I said, waste management can be defined as the collection, transportation, disposal of garbage. And it's not just the solid waste that we are generating, it is also the sewage that we are generating, the waste water. Okay, so even management of that becomes part of waste management. And waste management has become a global concern. Why? Because I just shared the data with you that we are generating mammoth amounts of waste on a daily. So because we are generating so much of waste, its management has also become a challenge for most of the countries around the world. And as the population is increasing, the consumption trends are changing. So I gave you one example of online buying, right? It was not so prevalent maybe 20 years back. So as we are developing, as we are evolving as a species, our consumption patterns are also changing, right? And changes in our lifestyle, they have posed such alarming threats to the environment, because we are continuously increasing the amount of waste that we are generating, and thus waste management has become so important. And why do we need to manage waste is also because if we do not manage this waste, it usually ends up in unsanitary landfills, or it will go in the water body, which is not only threatening to the human life, but it is also very very dangerous for our marine life, for our fish, for the aquatic ecosystem. So mismanagement of waste can actually cause water contamination, it can cause soil pollution, it can cause air pollution. So all the types of pollutions waste contributes to, and thus it is critical for all the countries all over the world to manage the waste in a sustainable manner. So why waste management is important? Because when we manage our waste sustainably, we are conserving our resources. So see, a lot of times we see waste as something which is to be thrown away, but the time has come when we start looking at waste as something which is of value to us, which is of wealth to us. And that is where waste to wealth concept comes, right? We can actually transform our waste to something which is of value to us. So it is not something which is rubbish and garbage which is to be thrown away. Rather, it is something which needs to be treated and made into something new which can be. So when we properly manage our waste, we are conserving a lot of natural resources, like we are conserving water, we are conserving energy, we are conserving raw material. And at the same time, when we reduce the amount of waste by proper management, we also improve the health and safety of the people, the occupational health and right. So we are reducing the effect of waste on health of human lives, on health of marine life, on health of the animals, and also on the environment. So management of waste can actually help us reuse and recycle of valuable resources like paper, cans, glass, metal. These are, very, very valuable materials which are found in waste. And when we manage the waste, we can actually recycle and reuse these valuable materials instead of just throwing them out. Another thing that waste management helps us is, it has a positive impact on our economy because a lot of jobs are created. So when we are running an efficient waste management system, we need a lot of manpower, and when we need that manpower, we are actually creating jobs. So in a way, we are also positively adding to the economic well-being of our nation, right? And if we talk of businesses, organizations, or corporates, they can actually save money by the recycling of products that they are producing. So if they are generating a number of waste materials, then they can recycle that waste material, which can, help them save money. And it definitely helps in environmental sustainability because we are reducing the greenhouse gas emissions, and we are also preserving the natural resources. So in a nutshell, if I tell you the benefits of waste management, it leads to better environment. It definitely reduces pollution, be it water pollution, air pollution, or soil pollution, land pollution, any kind of pollution. It conserves energy, right? And definitely creates jobs. It creates employment. So it is if we understand it in the terms of sustainable development, we know that sustainable development has three pillars: economic pillar, environmental pillar, and social. So when we are doing waste management, we are contributing to each of these three pillars. We are contributing to better environment, we are improving the lives of people, which is social development, and we are contributing to economy, which is economic sustainable development. So when we are doing waste management, we are actually contributing to sustainable development, right? So when we are doing waste management, there are several things to be considered, like what methods of disposal are we using, are we recycling or not. And before actually coming on to waste management, we need to identify ways to actually reduce the generation of waste, because if we on the first place we reduce the amount of waste that we are generating, then we will have lesser waste that we need to manage, right? We'll have lesser waste to be taken care of, right? So reduction methods, waste reduction methods, and transportation. And I would like to share that a lot of times we feel that it is only the responsibility of the government or the regulatory bodies to take care of waste or to manage our waste in a sustainable manner, but it is not that. It is the responsibility of each and every one of us to manage our waste properly, to play our role in sustainable development. And we can start by sorting our waste at our household levels. Can we not segregate biodegradable and non biodegradable at our level? It will become so much easier for the regulatory bodies, for the civic bodies, to then treat it, to take it to the next level. So it is the responsibility of each one of us to indulge in the activity of waste management. So having understood what is waste management and what are the benefits, and what is the importance of waste management, let me just tell you briefly the methods that can be used for waste management. So there are several methods, like we have landfills, we have incineration, there is recycling, composting, and waste to energy. So I will be discussing these methods briefly, and then I'll come on to the main topic of today's webinar, which is waste to energy, which I'll be discussing in a little more detail. So, starting with landfills. Now, all of us have seen landfills, right? And when I was a child, I was told that these are mountains of garbage, right? And if I share the experience of my childhood being in Delhi, I saw a number of such mountains in my city. And the heights of these mountains are just, they are actually double the size of what I saw them when I was a child. So landfills are very, very common sight in today's date in most of the urban cities, wherein the garbage is just dumped there. And sometimes landfills act as a temporary storage. So we collect the waste, we transport the waste, and we dispose the waste in these landfills, wherein it's further buried in the designated land. So as I said, some landfills are used for temporary storage, wherein the waste is consolidated at these landfill sites, and then they are transferred further for further process like sorting, treatment, recycling, etc., etc. But if you just look at this picture, are you not alarmed? These landfill sites are such a menace. They are a significant cause of health and environmental problems. Just imagine the situation of the people who are residing around these landfill sites. So they are, I would say, they are not a very good method of waste disposal. These are the issues with landfills, starting with leachate. So when you, leave waste in a place for a long time, and when rains come, the toxic materials which are present in the waste, it goes inside the ground and it gets mixed with the groundwater, and it just pollutes the groundwater. Then decomposition gases. So over a period of time, when the waste that is dumped in landfills, when it gets decomposed, it emits a lot of gases, like methane is one of, right? And these gases ultimately go in the environment, and they act as greenhouse gases, which lead to global warming, right? Then there are vectors for a number of diseases like rats, mosquitoes, birds, which are there, which act as carriers of diseases. And definitely odor. You cannot just pass by a landfill site. It is so stink, right? So these are some of the issues which are there with landfill. Then we have another method of waste management, which is recycle. Now, I'm sure all of us are familiar with the concept of recycling. And recycling is nothing but converting our waste materials or used materials into new products or objects which can be used. Okay, so when we recycle a product, we're actually reducing the amount of waste that we are sending to landfills or in. So we are conserving our natural resources like wood, water, paper, minerals, because we are recycling them. So instead of using a virgin material every time, we are using a used material to produce, right? So these are the general steps that we follow in recycling. We collect the waste material, we process it, and then we manufacture the new product. And the most commonly recycled waste material, I would say, is paper. And the newspaper that we get in our houses every day, they are actually printed on a recycled paper, right? And the the kabadi walas that come at our places, what do? They collect newspapers from us and then they give it off to recyclers. So it is a very traditional practice, but it has come up as a fancy word now that we need to recycle. It's not something new, it is something which we have been doing for so many years. Then composting, another very important and very easy to follow method, something which can be done at household levels. You and me, we can do composting at our home. So it is the natural process wherein the organic material is decomposed into a humus rich soil. Okay, and they are basically acted upon by microorganisms like bacteria and fungi. These are the microorganisms which break down the waste material into simpler forms, right? And the carbon which is present in the waste, that is used as an energy source by these microorganisms. So these microorganisms act on the waste material and break it down into compost, which is a very, very good manure for our plant. Then another method is incineration. Now I have kept incineration towards a little later side of my presentation because it's closely related to waste to energy. And as the name suggests, incineration is nothing but burning of your waste materials. So jo whatever substances which are there in your waste material, when you combust them or when you burn them, it is called incineration. So you are giving a thermal treatment to your waste, and as a byproduct, You are generating ash, you are generating gas, you are generating heat, and all the byproducts that you're generating, they can be used for further, and technologies such as gasification, pyrolysis, these are used for incineration, which I will be discussing a little. And then definitely waste to energy, which wherein we treat our waste in such a manner that we are creating some form of energy out of it. Now that energy can be in the form of electricity, that can be in the form of fuel, it can be in the form of, so out of these three, if you're generating any form of energy by treating your waste, that is nothing but waste to energy, right? And you can use different types of waste to produce energy. Like you can use semi-solid waste from affluent treatment plants. You can use liquid domestic sewage. You can use gaseous waste to produce energy. So different types of waste can be used for producing energy. So coming on to different technologies for waste to energy. So right now what I've discussed is what are the different methods of waste management. Now out of that I'm going to focus more on the last one, which is waste to energy, and I'm going to briefly discuss what are the different technologies which we can use for converting this waste into energy. So starting with biomethanation, I'm sure all of us have heard of biogas, and it is very commonly used in a lot of communities throughout the world. So it's nothing but biomethanation, and what happens is the organic material which is present in waste, it is anaerobically digested and it is converted into biogas. So this process also involves bacteria, microorganisms, and they act without the presence of oxygen. So they act in the absence of oxygen, and they result in the formation of biogas, which contains chiefly methane and carbon dioxide. And this biogas can be used as a fuel. Now, this process has a dual benefit because when the waste is acted upon, it is converted to biogas. That is one. And secondly, the solid waste that is left behind is an excellent manure. It can be used for for our plants, for our agriculture systems, and it acts as an excellent manure. So it has a dual benefit of producing biogas as well as. Now this process of biomethanation is also important because it can be easily installed in a decentralized manner. You're not required to sort of connect to any grid or something. You can have a standalone biogas plant or biomethanation plant. Okay, so you segregate your organic wet waste from kitchen waste, canteen waste, vegetable waste. You segregate the organic waste, which can be fed into these biogas plants, and then under the action of bacteria, biogas is produced. We can so this biogas that is produced, it can be directly burned in gas boiler, or you can use it for cooking. I have personally seen a lot of communities using this biogas being produced, they use it for cooking purpose, so it's working very well for them, right? And if we use this biomethanation process, about 20 to 25 kgs of cattle dung, which is commonly available in rural areas where cattle is so common, it can generate 1 cubic meter of biogas, and it can further produce 2 units of electricity. So just imagine the cattle dung, which we were considering waste, can produce so much of energy, right? Another method of generating energy from waste is gasification. Now, gasification is basically wherein we use very high temperatures to the tune of even 1800 degrees Celsius, and we use limited amounts of oxygen, and the waste material is decomposed at such high temperatures, and the result is a synthetic gas, which we also call syngas. Okay, so the final output of gasification process is a synthetic gas or a syngas, which is a mixture of hydrogen and carbon monoxide, right? So the waste like your biomass, your agriculture waste, and your segregated municipal solid waste, they are fed in the gasifier, and they are used to produce this syngas, which is further used. So the syngas that is being produced here, it can be further used to produce power. Okay. Then another very commonly used method is called pyrolysis, wherein again we are using heat to break down the combustible materials in the absence of oxygen. Now, in gasification, what we were doing was we were using a little bit of oxygen. But in pyrolysis, we are not using oxygen. We are just breaking down the combustible materials present in the waste, and we are producing a mixture of combustible gases, right? And there are also some liquids and solid residues which can be further used for other purposes. So the products that are produced by the process of pyrolysis are a mixture of gas. We have a liquid which is called a bio oil, so it's a fuel that we can use, and then we have a solid residue which is carbon black. So the gaseous mixture that is produced after pyrolysis, which is the primary output, it can be used in boilers to provide heat for further process. Then there is also something called esterification, wherein alcohol and acid react to form an ester, and that is why the name of the process is called esterification. This is a chemical conversion of waste to energy, right? And through this process of esterification, we can actually produce a number of biofuels from waste. So it is very important to produce bio. Then fermentation, just like we use fermentation in our kitchens to produce to make a lot of dishes, fermentation can also be used to produce electricity from waste. So in this method we extract energy from the carbohydrate part of the waste, and it is acted in the absence of oxygen. And when the carbohydrate portion in the waste is acted upon, it produces some chemical changes in the organic substrate, and those enzymes convert these carbohydrates in the absence of oxygen to energy. So, these were some of the methods of waste to energy, and I will just quickly summarize what are the benefits of waste to energy. So, when we are using this waste as a resource, when we are not throwing this waste in the dump sites, we are actually reducing the waste which is going to landfills. We are reducing the burden on landfill sites, right? Secondly, when we are not piling up our waste, we are reducing the amount of gas. Because as I told you earlier also, if we just leave the waste to just lie down like that, over a period of time it decomposes and it leads to production of greenhouse gases. So when we are using this waste to produce electricity or to produce energy, we are reducing the amount of greenhouse gases that will be generated, right? Then we are reducing the use of fossil fuels. Now, if we are producing biofuels using our waste, then we are definitely going to reduce our dependence on the traditional fossil. And as we all know, fossil fuels are getting extinct. So it's very important that we switch to greener sources of energy, right? Then it's definitely environment friendly. It is reducing the negative impacts of waste on environment, right? It is definitely leading to creation of more jobs, because so much of manpower is required to convert this waste into energy. So we are leading to creation of jobs. There is a better recovery of products, and we are also balancing our ecological cycle. There are so many nutrient cycles or ecological cycles which are present in our environment, which waste is tend to be disturbing. It tends to disturb those cycles, and by utilizing that waste to convert into electricity or energy, we are trying to balance those ecological cycles also. Coming on to the last part of my presentation, I will like to share a brief case study with you. And subsequent to this discussion, I have a very small video to share with you. So, first of all, I'll share this case study with you. And since I reside in Delhi, I thought I'll share a more local case study with you. So we have this landfill in Delhi, which is called the Ghazipur landfill site, and this is an uncontrolled solid waste disposal facility, because it receives about one third of the total garbage which is generated in Delhi on a daily. And it is operational since 1984, and it is the oldest functional landfill in the city. You can just look at the picture and you can imagine the condition of this landfill right now. Now, various studies have estimated that at least 12 million tons of waste is currently present in this landfill, which includes sewage and construction rubble as well. Now, since this is an uncontrolled landfill site, a lot of times the methane that is being generated from this garbage, it is setting off random fires in the land, and the toxic leachate which is produced from this waste, it flows into the groundwater, and the groundwater in this area is severely polluted, right? And the landfill has crossed its limit way back, about 20 years back, the limit of this landfill site was reached. But since we do not have an alternate site for dumping of our waste, we are continuing to use this as the landfill site. So, for about a lakh residents which are who are living in the radius of a kilometer of this dump site, the dangers are actually real. They are constantly living in a state of danger and hazards. Now, what happened in 2010? There's this organization by the name of ILNFS. They developed a waste to energy plant under a PPP framework for East Delhi Municipal Corporation, and it is estimated that this plant will convert energy out of the waste coming to this landfill, and it will mitigate approximately 8.2 million tons of greenhouse gases that would have been generated from that plant had the waste not been treated, right? So the plant is built with a capacity of about 2000 tons per day, and about 1300 tons of municipal solid waste is treated on a daily basis to produce clean energy or green power. And for the treatment of this waste also, it is using recycled sewage water. So it is fully a green method because it is also using the water which is treated and not fresh water. So it's fully complying with the principles of waste management, which are reduce, reuse, recover, and recycle. They also have a continuous emission monitoring system in the plant, and they are keeping a tab on the working of the system continuous. And the facility has generated over 230 lakh units of clean electricity from more than 2.5 lakh tons of garbage. And not just that, it is also providing livelihoods to thousands of small businesses which are placed around this landfills. We have a meat poultry market, we have one of the biggest flower markets around this area. So all those small businesses have actually gotten livelihood from this plant, right? Just to conclude my presentation, I would say that the volume of waste that is available to us for energy generation is huge, and we are not stopping here. The amount of waste that is generated is increasing on a daily basis, and if we not see that waste as waste but as treasure, then we will be able to deal with this mammoth amount of waste, this mammoth problem that our generation is facing. And when we produce energy from waste, it is also a part of the circular economy that we are moving towards, wherein we are sort of keeping the resources in the loop for as long as possible, as opposed to linear economy wherein we just use the product once and throw it away. So we are definitely moving towards a circular economy, and with the advances which are happening in the technology, I'm sure that waste to energy plants will increasingly contribute to low carbon energy systems, because they will also capture carbon dioxide. They will recover raw materials, and then they will supply more energy, carbonize other sectors. So this is what I wanted to share in the brief time that I was given. I hope I have not overshot the time that was given to me. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was really a very informative and incredible session. I would like to propose hearty vote of thanks to you, ma'am, for gracing today's webinar. Your presence and wise word help magnifying our cause in best possible ways. I hope all the participants learned a lot with this webinar. I would really like to thank you, ma'am, for giving us your valuable time. And I'm also delighted to be a part of today's webinar.
Thank you so much. Pleasure being here.
Same, ma'am.